until very recently, Daniel Dubois had been linked to a fight with his stablemate and fellow prospect Nathan Gorman, but more recently, he has been linked to a fight with Joe Joyce. And he now says that if the Joyce fight can't happen, if Joyce decides to go in a different direction and take on somebody at European or world level, then he'd be willing to step in and face a Dereck Chisora or a Dave Allen if he can't get that Joyce fight. This is a very, very good attitude from Daniel Dubois. He's ambitious. He believes in himself. He's a man of few words, but there's clearly some very strong underlying confidence there. So I'm going to quote Daniel Dubois directly here. He says, "I am not out to duck anybody, and these guys are further on or round about the same stats as me in the rankings, so I have got to face them, and I will do. This is what we have been working towards and why I turned pro, to be moving up the rankings and progressing as I am. I haven't really seen too much of Latte, but I am sure he is going to be game and come ready for a fight, so I've got to be prepared 100%. I cannot cut any corners, and I will be ready." He then goes on to talk about Joe Joyce's recent win over Berman-Stavern. He says, "It was a good win for Joyce and a good name for his resume. It was not the best Berman-Stavern because he is at the end of his career now, but it was a good win and a good scalp for his CV against a former world champion." So those are the words of Daniel Dubois. Now, I was skeptical about whether the Joyce fight would happen simply because Joyce is looking to move on quick and he's been made mandatory for Ajit Kabayel, who is the European champion. And if he had a choice between fighting for a British title or a European title at the pace that Joe Joyce is trying to move, I have to imagine he'd go for the European title rather than the British, because the European title, I believe, guarantees you a top 10 ranking in, I think, all the sanctioning bodies, or at least top 15. And it moves him further along in his journey, whereas a British title won't do as much for Joe Joyce. So I can understand him deciding to go that route rather than fighting for the British title against Daniel Dubois. Although he hasn't completely ruled it out as far as I'm aware, but I'll be surprised if it happens, and I suspect Joyce will go that route rather than fight Dubois. So for Dubois to say that he's happy to face Chisora or Dave Allen instead, that's great news. I mean, those are both very, very good fights for Daniel Dubois. He's only 10-0, 21 years old. I was unsure about Daniel Dubois early on in his career. I mean, it's still early on in his career, but his first few fights, I was unsure. And not because of his physical ability, more because of his demeanor. I couldn't really read the guy psychologically. You guys know that I like to try and get a psychological read of a fighter. But with Dubois, because he's so quiet, he never says anything, it was difficult or impossible for me to get any kind of psychological read on him. So I wanted to see his reaction to a very, not hostile, but, a very boisterous and confident opponent who tried to psychologically get under his skin, etc. And Tom Little was able to do that, or attempt to do that anyway. He came in there talking a lot of trash and trying to get under Daniel Dubois' skin. And I know Tom Little, from a physical standpoint, from a boxing ability standpoint, is not on Dubois' level, but boxing is not just about your physical ability and your technical ability. It's about your mental strength, your mental fortitude. And for a young guy like Daniel Dubois, for me, it was important to see how he would cope with a guy who was really trying to get under his skin and a guy who's, had confidence and stuff like that. He passed that test. I liked the way he dealt with Tom Little. And then he went in there against the veteran Kevin Johnson. And although it went the distance, I personally liked the way Daniel Dubois dealt with Kevin Johnson. I thought it was a good performance. So I'm slowly but surely starting to gained some belief in Daniel Dubois, and I'm gaining even more belief in him, seeing how ambitious he is here, wanting to face the likes of a Chisora or Dave Allen. Dave Allen has talked about fighting Daniel Dubois in the past. He's said that he doesn't particularly rate Dubois. I think he said words to the effect of Dubois one of the most overhyped fighters in the UK, something like that. Well, we'll see if Allen can get past Lucas Brown and Daniel Dubois still wants that fight. We'll see if Allen is game for it. I know Allen's obviously a very tough man, but Allen, when he was taking on the likes of Dylan White and Luis Ortiz, he didn't have the following then that he has now, okay? He didn't have as much to lose then as he has now. So when you have a lot more to lose, you're sometimes not as willing to take risks. We know Dave Allen's a tough guy. We know that he's not afraid of anybody. But if he gets past Lucas Brown, he's got a lot more to lose than he did prior to that. So would he want to fight a Daniel Dubois? He might see it as a step backwards. He might see it as a step down. You know, we'll have to wait and see. Same for Dereck Chisora. You know, Dereck Chisora is coming back against Senad Gashi. He's still with David Haye. He has this professional training regime and routine now where he's working with Ruben Tabarez, a nutritionist and I believe strength and conditioning. And he's got David Haye who sorted out his training schedule for him. You know, it's all very regimented now. It's like a professional team. So he's obviously looking to have some success at world level, Dereck Chisora. Does he want to drop down to British level and fight Daniel Dubois? And again, not to say Daniel Dubois is only as good as British level, but he's fighting at British level right now, Daniel Dubois. Okay, he might be world level at the moment. He might be European level in terms of his fighting ability. But the level that he's fighting at, competing at, is British level at the moment. Would Dereck Chisora want to drop down and fight for a title, the British title? Would he want to do that? He's already held that title in the past. So, I don't know. Maybe they could get it for a different kind of international belt, because I'm sure Daniel Dubois must be ranked in at least the top 20 of some, if not all, the sanctioning bodies. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section below, and how would you see a matchup between Dubois and Allen, or Dubois and Chisora going? Do you think you could take both of those guys? And also let me know what you think about Dubois and Joyce, or Dubois and Gorman. Drop it all in the comment section below. It's happening. I'm out. Join me on Patreon. I upload a minimum of 2 podcasts every single week, covering a wide variety of controversial topics, as well as live stream Q&A sessions. Take a look on screen right now at some of the podcasts I've produced so far. For just $3 a month, the equivalent of about £2 a month, you get access to all my new podcasts and my entire back catalogue of past podcasts, including my popular Confessions of a Nightclub Bouncer series. You can listen on your computer or on your smartphone or tablet by downloading the Patreon app from the Google Play Store or the App Store for free. The Patreon app also allows you to download each podcast in MP3. For less than the price of a cup of coffee, you get access to dozens of hours of exclusive content. It's easy to sign up, there's no contract, and you can cancel at any time. So come and join our community of free and critical thinkers by signing up with me here on Patreon today.